Hi everyone, I hope you're good guys and welcome for a new video. So today a topic a little bit special and I want to talk about racks and tell you why I do that many racks and how to use them differently. So I like to use rack because usually behind the rack it's firstly an idea, a sound design process or a sound design idea that I want to share with you, and I found it better to do it with rack. And the reason why is because rack is a good way to fasten your workflow because you limit your number of parameters that you can move or tweak, and it also can be something really nice to play with live when you're playing. And you can, if you have a filter modulation on your macro or a LFO rate, you can easily play and modify the parameter in the same time, and that's really nice. And as well, having macro, it's a quick way to make your own preset too. So that's why rack are just not like a preset or a rack, so to speak. They are more like a concept or an idea behind. I say that because you have to understand that they can apply to any kind of music genre or any kind of sound. You know, it's not because I made a rack for bass that you cannot use it for other elements of your track, basically. And that's something I often forgot to say. It's really to encourage you to make your own preset or even to customize your rack or to use in a different way than the way I show in the video. And the reason why is because this way you can demark yourself from other people which has downloaded the rack as well. And one thing I personally like to do when I'm watching another tutorial is taking the idea behind the tutorial and trying to push it further or making it my own or trying to adapt to my style or my workflow. Even if it's a tutorial about a different kind of music genre, I always try to understand the idea and adapt to myself. So that's why today I wanted to talk to you about something I think limit people and restrain themselves. Because even though I try to be specific with the rack title or the video name, it doesn't mean that the rack is only for this kind of sound or techno genre. Obviously, I'm being specific with the rack because if you are looking for bassline, you look for bassline, you get something related to bassline, but you have to think as well outside the box. And I have an example here with one of my rack, which is this one, the super solid rack, and I'm using it this way in this track in my industrial wave techno template. So like kind of heavy stub kind of way. And the thing is, this rack can fit as well really well for melodic techno, and that's what I'm gonna show you today. It can as well fit for more kind of modern peak time techno. So that's why it's important to understand the process behind the rack. Like this, you can adapt it to any kind of sound or any kind of music genre. So let's jump into the dark progressive techno template, and I'm gonna show you how to transform this kind of into something which is gonna fit more like a kind of melodic techno. So here another project, the same rack. If I go to sample it, and you can hear it's the same rack, but it sounds completely different. And if I duplicate this track, and if basically I remove this one by, grab this. If I remove this one and replace it by the original, you can see it. So that's why I want to encourage you to really make your own, because for example, this one, what I've done, I transport, instead of the 7 oscillator to be -12, I put +7. Already you start to feel the different vibe, and as you can hear, it's not a plucky sound, it's more like a kind of brassy. And the good way to do that is to put the attack around 120 milliseconds. And now you've got something. Yeah, this kind of stuff, knowing short tip like this, like +7 semitone or handling how to handle the attack. I've made a series of Ableton wavetable short tips where I explain all this kind of very kind of little detail that once you are aware of, you can really implement them in your workflow, in your rack, in your preset, and this way make your own preset from other preset bank or other rack. And yeah, I can even show you another way. Again, I use the rack. So let's jump into the modern techno 2 template. All right, and here I use it the same rack, 3 different ways. So here I use it like more like a drone. But I'm using as well as a pluck. So this one is more like how the original sound. The first one, the industrial wave techno, was more like a kind of stabby effect, like a stab, rave stab. Second one, in Melodic Techno, I transformed it into kind of brassy sound, and now I've used it as the original, but I've used it in a different way, more like as a plug. Like this one, or I use it as well more as a sustain lead with some glide here. And if you even want to go further, I'm gonna show you another way to use the rack and jump into the session. So here again, what I've done, if you reset, take the default one, you have this. And one thing I've done, I just added an arpeggiator with the 16/8, and I've played this MIDI clip. This is like from my Process Techno sample pack. You know, you always get the MIDI file with. So I use that basically, and then I get something completely different again. So again, the same rack, used different way, sound is completely different. Even if it's the same kind of sound, obviously it's like super slow, detuned, unison sound, but using them different way, appropriating them to your own style, to your own workflow, and you can get something different than someone else. And so that's why I wanted to make this video, is to really push you to experiment with a rack, and don't limit yourself because you think this rack won't fit your style, because as you can see here, the same rack for 3 or 4 different kind of techno. Obviously there is some exception. For example, I have this industrial kick here. Obviously this, if you do melodic techno, maybe it's not useful. And even, you know, I didn't try, but maybe if you drop a kind of 808-ish kick inside that, you might have like a clicky percussion on top. It can be nice. I don't know, I never tried, but it can be good as well. That's why, again, I repeat myself, but it's not like just a rack or a preset, like it's not fixed, you know, it's not just one purpose, you know, it's not a preset, you have to understand the process behind, and like this you can use this process behind after for other idea. And that's why I want you to do this video, and that's what I'm gonna show you here. I have other example. For example, let's start with this pad maker. So this is like usually a rack I create to make beautiful pads from everything, but I have this vinyl distortion device, and which is kind of adding crackle or noise. And if you drop into this rack, you can get a nice noisy ambience to put on the background. Or I don't know, even you can try like to put like kind of sound effect like a reverb, or if you do this ambient stuff. And yes, for this vinyl stuff, use the Isotope vinyl, it's free. That's a free plugin. It's really cool. You have obviously more choice than the vinyl distortion from Ableton, which is kind of pretty limited, but for noise and crackle, sorry. But yeah, you can change the it's kind of changing the tone. And then after, obviously, you can filter it, add LFO to and yeah, not a pad. And another rack example, the Austrian Synth FX. So obviously I call it like this because my first intention was to kind of making everything sound industrial, and I use it for the synth, but can apply as well for percussion. For example, I have this percussion here, and obviously you can use like this, and even you can modify, because you know I feel this way, like maybe I could have a bit more feedback in the delay, and the reverb I want it to be a bit more like a cavernous, so I augment the decay, and like this I have this kind of, and again I can add noise to the percussion, or I can pitch mode. So you get obviously something completely different than the original pack, which sound like this. And again, that's a good way to make sample your own. Then what I've got here, here I have this. So this was a rack which was initially more like to making like pluck melody. But first, for example, I found it now it's a bit too much noise. That's not the noise, that's the noise. And then if you add an arpeggiator and you play some kind of chord, kind of different kind of vibe than just the plucky one. Here I have this chord device. Again, it's usually initially, if I reset it, something like to have quickly like kind of FM-ish kind of chord for dub techno or even like old school chord. But obviously you can use it more like as the bass line, so play lower frequency, adding the boom bass rack to make things and yeah, having something which doesn't sound like a chord. And I can go like this with that as well. I have this perk loop. So here what I've done, I have this wavetable. I'm just gonna reset it. Let's say you don't know what effect to put. You're looking for a kind of sound. Oh, just drop this perk loop. There is a delay and the reverb already inside. And you know that it's a combination that works. And yeah, you can after start to shape your sound and having something sounding different. And yeah, I have this industrial kick that you can use maybe with hearts. Here I use with a perk, which was kind of sounding like a tom, and I pitch it down. And again, but the other perk is obviously just a delay with filter delay with some crunch. But yeah, you see, what about you just keep this and you just create a new kind of perk loop that you can add to your track. And yeah, I can go on like this with a lot of rock. Obviously there is some rock which is like kind of hard to like take them out of context, but most of them you can always tweak them, go inside them and change some of the stuff. Even here you see, like for example with operator, which is cool, you just change the algorithm and you might get something different. So yeah, don't be scared to experiment. Even if it's not your music genre kind of a video or rack or preset, you can always modify it and make it your own. So I hope you like this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching and see you soon, guys. Bye bye.